Hi, everyone. This is an interview with Vivica Menegaz, the creator of the Healing Foods Method, which is a therapeutic diet for weight loss, improved health, and increased energy. Anyone leaving a comment will receive a copy of Vivica's book, Keto Adaptation. And if you're live with us, show Vivica some love by sending some thumbs up and hearts across the screen. Thanks so much for joining us. Here's Vivica. Go Team Paleo. Hi, Vivica. Welcome to the world's greatest food fight.
Hi, Ed. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking about keto paleo with Vivica. And what's the difference between keto paleo and traditional paleo?
Well, when we're talking about ketogenic diets, like what defines a ketogenic diet is actually just a ratio of macronutrients. So a ketogenic diet by definition is any diet that reduces carbohydrates enough for you to get into ketosis. And ketosis is like an alternative metabolism that we use when we restrict the carbs, so our body stops using glucose for fuel and it starts using fat. Now, a paleo diet, as people will know and are going to be more familiar with it, is a diet that does not use processed foods, does not use grains, does not use dairy. It's as close to nature as possible and the way that our hunter-gathering ancestors were eating, supposedly. That's at least what it should be. You know, it only takes a little bit of like twists and turns there, but that's what the original concept of a paleo diet is. So when you combine keto and paleo, what comes out is, this is what I call really like a therapeutic ketogenic diet. It's a diet that follows the principles of paleo, so it's no processed foods, no dairy, everything's close to nature as possible, of course no grains, and it also follows ketogenic macros that will induce ketosis. So that is kind of in a nutshell what it means.
Is there any concern about ketosis at all?
No, there are two different, the definition of ketosis is different from what people mistakenly think it's ketoacidosis. So ketoacidosis is what happens, for example, in diabetics, and it's called ketosis out of control. And that can only happen when there is absolutely no insulin produced in the pancreas, like in the case of diabetes type 1. And then a series of reactions happen in the body, and the body becomes toxic with ketones. Luckily, that can never happen for people that have a normal pancreas, even type 2 diabetics. You know, it will never really happen for them. It can happen for type 2 diabetics when they go into specific, you know, like it's kind of a condition that happens when their body is really out of balance and their insulin is really out of balance, but it will not happen for the normal person. So, and I do work with type 2 diabetics, and that has never happened before. So what we use for therapy, for therapeutic uses, and in the ketogenic diet is called nutritional ketosis. And nutritional ketosis is usually like, if we look at millimolars of ketones, beta-hydroxybutyrate ketones in the blood, like ketoacidosis would be in the range of like 6 or 7 or more, like even 14 millimolars in the blood. When we look at nutritional ketosis, the maximum we will ever reach is 5 or 6. So it's a very different range. Like the workable range of nutritional ketosis is like 2, 3 millimolars, 4 millimolars of ketones in the blood. So we will never really reach those dangerous levels. And plus, people usually have a hard time getting high ketones. It's much easier to not get in ketosis than to get into too high ketosis.
And then what's the end result for someone when they reach ketosis?
to burn fat for fuel. So ideally, like, you know, a lot of people are using a ketogenic diet to lose weight these days. And that's because it burns fat most efficiently. Of course, when you stop putting additional sugar into the bloodstream, so all this glucose, then your body is forced to start burning fat. And then ideally, you know, in the right situation, doing the right diet with the right macros, you will burn your own stored body fat for energy. So to the point where you're going to be lean, you know, as lean as you need to be, and then you can get up to maintenance. But of course, there is a lot of other benefits to ketogenic diet, things like lowering inflammation, resetting insulin resistance, eliminating food sensitivities when it's done the right way. That's why I combine it with Paleo, you know, and sometimes even AIP, which is, you know, an autoimmune protocol diet. So I do a lot of that combining in my practice because it has the maximum health benefits.
Now, when you're talking about a therapeutic keto diet versus, is there a different type of keto diet other than therapeutic?
Well, because the keto diet does not really restrict what you're eating, you know, in theory, it doesn't. You know, ketogenic just means I'm going to cut down carbs enough so you get in ketosis, right? And also it means I'm going to fill up the rest of your calories with fat so that basically you have some energy to burn, right? So for example, there is a kind of ketogenic diet that's done for epilepsy and especially for small children with unmanageable seizures. And I've been to an epilepsy conference for the ketogenic diet and was absolutely appalled by the quality of the foods they used. And in the paleo community, people are much more aware about quality of ingredients. And, you know, like there is a big stress about organic, there is a big stress about sustainable, about clean ingredients, non-GMO. I've seen, you know, dietitians feed canola oil to babies to get them in ketosis. And that is not the ketogenic diet that I do. You know, so they feed them heavy cream and really heavy on the dairy, really heavy on processed foods, and these like, you know, polyunsaturated fatty acids that are mostly gone rancid by the time they've been processed 20 million times. They don't care because as long as there is that much fat and that much carbs, you know, it will get them into ketosis and keep them there. So it will manage the seizures, but we're not even thinking about the benefits on health because I don't think any baby will get healthy on canola oil. Sorry.
So what type of fat are we looking to use with the ketogenic diet?
Well, if you don't need your own body fat for fuel, a lot of good fats, like we're not shunning animal fats. So any saturated fats done the right way, so, you know, unprocessed, unrefined, are good. I am a big fan of things like lard and tallow and schmaltz, which is rendered chicken fat, because I don't believe in wasting any parts of an animal. You know, if we are going to using an animal, like nothing should be wasted. And to use animal fat also has the benefits that it's really heat stable and it doesn't get rancid easily, so that you can cook with it, you can bake with it, you can fry with it, and it's not going to be bad for you. It's, you know, it doesn't get rancid and become a highly inflammatory product with lots of carcinogenic, you know, things in there. So another oil that I really like is coconut oil. That is used a lot, and especially by, you know, by paleo people is used a lot, and by keto paleo, of course, is used a lot as well, you know, and it's very, a very kind of wide spectrum oil that you can use either raw in like its pristine way, cold press, and, you know, and you can also use it for cooking because it's pretty heat stable. So it's a great oil. I make a little exception to dairy in my practice because I use butter. But I usually test my patients for sensitivity if they can tolerate butter. If they can't, then I will use ghee, and I really like ghee. And of course, it will be ghee from like grass-fed cows that are free range. That's really important.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the animal fat and the quality of the animal fat that one should use. They just shouldn't go out and buy it anywhere, and they should know where it's sourced, right?
Yes, and that's, something that I really appreciate about the paleo community is cultivating the awareness of where does your food come from. There is a lot of awareness, and it's been, coming more and more. It's not just about eat steak, but it's about what's in your steak. What was the animal fat? And like, was it grain fat? Was it fed a bunch of antibiotics? And also, how was it treated? And this is not just ethics. I mean, like, I know that we're fighting against the vegans about this big subject of like animal husbandry. And if there is something that I completely agree with them, is that animals should not be abused, should not be mistreated. So if I'm going to eat an animal, I want to make sure that the animal lived, a life that was as close to nature as possible. So meaning, like it should have lived, and treated with respect and care, and don't make him a pet, but at the same time just treat the animals really well. So cows should be pastured, and they should be able to free range and have their babies and keep them with them. The pigs should be able to be free range and keep their families together and not be separated and put in little stalls. And like, I am completely against any kind of factory farming. I do not eat factory farmed meat. I do not buy battery caged eggs, or I don't do the dairy, so I don't buy commercial milk. But if I was to do dairy in any form or shape, I would get definitely from small farmer, raw milk, knowing where it comes from. And, really the best thing that we can do is support our local farmers and just go out and find a farmer, meet them, look at what they're doing, support them with your dollars. And they will support you in return, supporting your health. Not just that, but also the health of the planet, because that's kind of really the important thing. And as we are talking about health here and healthy practices and why are those practices healthy, I feel like it's really important to make sure that any food we eat is healthy. So think about it, like, is my GMO corn or GMO soy healthy? Is it healthy for the planet? I have some pretty serious doubts about it. Maybe it will feed more people per square acre. Maybe, yes, but what is the price that we're paying? What are the pesticides that are used? What are the chemical fertilizers? What is the, reduction in biodiversity that we are getting? Like, all these gigantic monocultures are killing biodiversity. Versus think about a small farm that uses animal husbandry properly to like improve soil fertility and circulate just like, the diversity, keeping heirloom species, heirloom breeds, cultivating all that, patrimony of diversity that we get from nature. And instead it's been turned into these giant monocultures that are destroying the planet. Deforestation to plant corn. I don't think that's healthy for the planet, and then you're going to eat that corn being a vegan and saying that that's, because you're doing it for the planet and for the animals. I think that people should really, whatever choice you make for your health, it's your choice. I don't tell nobody what to do. What I advocate, really strongly advocate, is get to the bottom of the picture, really get the information, really study and investigate, how are things done? Where is my food coming from? What practices, what is it connected to? Is it connected to big farm, big money, where the interest is really in their pocket and not in your stomach or your health? or is he a small farmer who's actually really interested in sustainability and is like studying old practices that are sustainable, that are going to heal the soil and produce an healthy environment that is sustainable for long term. So inform yourself, learn about it, learn about your food, be it keto or paleo or even vegan, the choice is yours. But make sure that you don't support, something that is actually going to be damaging at the end. So you're going to end up with nutritional deficiencies and a depleted soil at the same time.
Yeah, I think people really should have a better understanding of our food supply and how the food goes from where it is, how it's made, and how it ends up on your table. The last thing that I want to talk to you about is the carbs that people eat. So it's a low carb, high fat diet. When you compare that to like the vegan diet, which is heavy vegetables and a fair amount of carbs, where are you getting the carbs from in the keto diet?
I like my patients and readers to get their carbs from vegetables. I'm really big on that. Again, back to the therapeutic diet, I'm really big on leafy greens and, low carb veggies and a good variety of them. Vegetables are great. They're really good for you, especially if they're not mass produced. So I really like to stress like eating things that are sometimes a little more hard to find, like dandelion greens or, bitter greens that are extremely good for you. Like heirloom quality of vegetable, growing them yourself. That would be great, whoever can do that. But, just like kind of stepping out that rut of eating always the same things. But yes, definitely vegetables, low carb vegetables. And there are a little bit of like flour substitutes that we use in the keto paleo diet, like almond flour, coconut flour. Use nuts in great moderation because nuts are kind of dangerous. They pack a lot of calories, those kind of things. So that's where we get the carbs mainly.
And you also have a book, correct?
I have 2 cookbooks published right now and one in the making, and it's going to actually be my Keto Paleo Manifesto book that is coming out next year. I'm really excited.
Excellent.
Yeah, but right now my first book is a community paleo book, and the second book is a fat bomb book. It's more a strictly ketogenic book, and the next one will be a strictly keto paleo book, so I'm really happy. And the little booklet that I'm sharing with the Food Fight is actually a book that talks about keto adaptation and what it means to be keto adapted. So to understand the benefits and what it does for you, so that if you're ever going to consider doing keto paleo, at least you're going to know what can bring, for your health and what it can do for your body.
Oh, that's awesome. It's very generous. Thank you for sharing that with us.
My pleasure.
And then if someone wants to reach out to you, you have a practice, how would they do that?
Well, probably the best way would be through my blog. My blog is called The Nourished Caveman, which is kind of an old joke because there is, the paleo in there, but I also come from a Western Price background with nourishing tradition, all that. So that's how it all started. But yes, it's The Nourished Caveman. And I have a contact form there. I also have an inquiry form. There is a page for my program, the Healing Foods Method. They can have a look at that. And that's how I work with my patients through that program.
Excellent. Well, Vivica, thank you so much for all the information on the keto diet. I think people now may be up to speed with it. Thank you for joining us in the world's greatest food fight. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay, thank you, Ed. It was great being here. Thank you for the interview.